All right. So now we are recording. So cool. So welcome everybody. This is my Prime Day Power Play for Prime Day, which is going to be July 12th and 13th, 2022. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to this one. This is going to be the first return to Prime Day on Amazon that is more traditional in nature. In other words, we're starting to get past COVID, we're starting to get back to more of a normal, and I put that in air quotes because a number of things have changed, including we do expect, of course, Amazon is going to advertise heavily as they always have in order to make sure that their Prime shoppers, their Prime members, come back onto the platform in order to get the best deals that they can. Now, there is certainly some debate going on in the community regarding whether or not the kind of Prime Day is kind of waning. In other words, is it getting less appealing to shoppers? I'm going to say no, it's not, but it will become that way. We certainly saw that in the eBay sales channel, where auctions were very popular for many years, but then after a while, people are like going like, it's like, okay, it was kind of cool the first few years, but then now it's not so much. And so it's kind of, it's just not the same. It's not as heated because there's not quite the volume when it comes to like live auctions you'd have, right? Now, from Prime Day is primarily Amazon's chance to spike the traffic, get those Amazon Prime members back onto the platform in the middle of the slowest few months in the year, which is traditionally always going to be the summer. Now, last couple of years, that's been disrupted, of course, because of COVID and people working from home and people not traveling and all kinds of restrictions. But this year, people are like going like, I got to get out. I got to get my family out. I don't care if I get sick. I'm just going to go out and, travel. And that's cool. I've done the same thing. In fact, I even came back with COVID from Mexico just 3 weeks ago. Survived it much better the second time getting sick than I had it back in October of 2019, which, as many of you may have noted, was after they announced it for China and Europe, but before they announced it as a thing inside the United States. So we were one of the lucky few to bring it back from Europe early on, and that was brutal. I'm sure everybody has their own family stories on that, and fortunately, so hopefully everybody survived and got through that okay. That aside, let's talk about what it is that we're talking about as far as like Prime Day and how to best position. Now, the way that I'm going to set this up is how essentially what are the key things, what are the top things that my team over at Canopy Management does for our clients for Prime Day in order to make sure that they have a successful Prime Day, right? I'm going to provide a little bit more information. Well, I'm going to provide a lot more information here, so I'll go into this. But here's what's in it for you by being here. More sales for Prime Day, okay? Increased product visibility, increased click-through rate, increased buyer confidence by your listing, and increased conversion rate and sales, which ultimately we want, because this year, frankly, has sucked when it comes to traffic on Amazon. Put a one in the chat if traffic and sales have sucked for you in 2022 so far. Put a 10 if it's gone phenomenally well for you. There are certainly plenty of those niches. It's just a case of proper positioning and really getting professional with your listings and the way that you advertise and market your product on Amazon. I'm going to show you some of those tactics that we're doing here. But I will tell you, and full disclosure is that I'm not going to give you everything. I'm not going to give you my entire playbook that we use for our clients, but I am going to give you 6 of the top key strategies that my team is implementing for our clients at Canopy Management in order to have a successful Prime Day. But normally, yes, it is normally reserved for our clients. So why would I share that with you, right? Is there a big pitch? Yes, there's going to be a massive pitch. No, there's not. Actually, it's going to be kind of a really weak pitch, but I do want you to consider it. Here's what basically the deal is. If I show you how good our team has gotten, over the years and bulletproof our process and the consistency and the level of performance that we achieved, you will at least consider having that conversation you've been putting off with an agency, with our team, so that we can show you exactly how we are miles ahead of most brands, most agencies, most consultants that are out on the market today, certainly helping brands on and off Amazon succeed in e-commerce and moving more of their products. So I think it'll be obvious, but obviously I'm biased. So here's the rules for today, of course. Ask questions, stay engaged, take notes. Make sure you've got your chat box open so that you can comment, you can ask questions, you can make your points. You can send me nasty messages if you want. I'm no concern of mine. So let's get it going here. A little background info for those of you who are not familiar with me or with my agency, Canopy Management. My name is Brian Johnson, and I've been in e-commerce for about 14 years. I've been in Amazon space for the last 7. So like I mentioned before, I was in eBay for about 7 years, did really well there, and then did even better in the Amazon space. So glad to be here in the Amazon space and still branching out from here. Because when I got started, a lot of the stuff wasn't available. I had to create the first software, the first training course, not the first agency. However, we had so many people asking us to replicate what we do for ourselves that we finally started taking on clients, and we've now grown to an agency over 100 employees worldwide, 10 different countries, and I think 12 different languages. So we've had a phenomenal track record over the last 4 years, pretty phenomenal growth. In fact, I've had the privilege in my career here on Amazon to help over 20,000 brands grow by over $1 billion through my PPC ad strategies, conversion rate optimization strategies, my differentiation coaching, which fed into things like my product search and rescue method. Now, I don't say that, there's no bragging on this. This is simply humble brag, if you will, right? This is simply just saying, look, I hope that you're in the right place. I'm going to give you specific tactics that my own team, my expectation, if I can get the words out, my expectation is that you will put these in place. You'll do better on Amazon for Prime Day, and you'll come back and say, okay, maybe I actually should listen to Brian in the future and maybe even having a conversation with Canopy. If that sounds good, then I don't see any reason why we can't get started. Of course, I do need to plug my agency. I'll do it again at the end, but for now, this is the plug. This is you can see it for yourself. You can take a picture of it if you want. This is actually our average client year-over-year track record. Our average across all of our clients, we've increased profitability by over 84%, 63% sales growth, 105% PPC profitability growth, and then our creative services team that does listing optimization, that kind of stuff, average increase, average of 38%. As you may have guessed, that is well above industry standard in the Amazon space because we've worked really hard to get to this point and we've gotten really good at it. So that said, let's keep moving on. All right. So number one priority here. I'm going to talk about 3 priorities. I'm going to talk about 6 tactics, and then we can throw in some Q&A here at the end. Sound good? We're going to keep this. I'm going to go fast on this if everybody's okay with that. The first priority, of course, you've got to make sure that you get your product in front of your target audience. You've got to get their eyes on your product and get them away from your competitors. Okay. The second priority that you've got to do during Prime Day, because it's going to be a high volume, high search volume, high traffic volume day on Amazon, is you've got to be able to hook the shopper to visit your product. If you have not split test your main image, if you've not split test your title of each of your products, if you've not completely redesigned your product listing to optimize for attracting the shopper, for getting them engaged and really want your product, and then ultimately proving to them that your product is the best on the market, however you position that, and I'll get into that, how you do that, then you are behind the times. In other words, you are not keeping up with what some of the leaders in the space, some of these that are doing tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars a year on Amazon, these are the kind of tactics they're doing because we've taught them or we've done it for them, and they put these things in place. And I want to make sure that you know kind of the cream of the crop 6 tactics that we're using specifically for Prime Day in order to get to the point where that shopper ultimately adds your product to cart and ultimately purchases the product. Fair enough? Cool. I see that our audience has continued to grow throughout this presentation. So I appreciate you opening up your chat and just giving me, a little bump, a little hello. Just let me know that you're here, that you're paying attention. I love it when people pay attention. I get a little irritated when people just kind of space off and do other work when they should be learning these top tactics, because I know how much of a difference it's going to make for your business, for your clients, whatever position that you're in. Okay. Here's a quick prerequisite. Tatiana, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Kamer, nice. Awesome. The prerequisite is you got to put your best foot forward. Okay. Now, if you've been on any of my past webinars or see me in person speaking, then you know that you've got to come in with a solid product. Now, you don't have to have the best product on the market, but you need to have a product that you're promoting that fits the scenario. In this case, we're talking about Amazon Prime Day, okay? For Amazon Prime Day, here is the formula of what kind of products work best. Things that can be gift items or impulse items, things I want in other words, gifts for myself, right? Highly rated and reviewed items are going to get higher conversion rate, higher visibility. Items with a high margin is going to benefit you because you can be more aggressive in your marketing and your advertising. And you're going to be able to get a lot more visibility, a lot more sales. You're going to move a lot more products, probably reduce your stock quantity inside of the FBA warehouses so they don't charge you an arm and a leg. I know certainly I'm trying to do that with my products. And a high margin is going to give you a little bit more flexibility to do that. So whenever you can, obviously lead with your high margin products and be very aggressive with those. Items with a historically high click-through rate and conversion rate. So the CTR, which is the click-through rate, the conversion rate, which is either the unit session percentage or USP, right? Or in the advertising sense, the advertised conversion rate. A higher conversion rate, of course, is a result of having a quality product, demonstrating it correctly, and actually optimizing your main image, your title, and your listing so that people actually want and continue to want your product. That's how you get to your highest conversion rates. If you haven't updated your product listing, your main image, your title, and your product listing in the last 6 months, you've got to get on the ball. You need to do this. You need to be doing split testing for sure. I'll get into that later. Items with high top of search sales. If you already have been using advertising and using top of search ad strategy for your keywords, for your products, keywords that are driving to your products, then you want to be more aggressive, especially on high traffic days like Prime Day. Okay. All right, so for the first priority, back to what I was saying, get eyes on the product. So your very first priority of the 3 that I mentioned earlier is the first one is to get eyes on the product by the shoppers. Think about the shopper scenario, okay? They're going to go out and they're looking for deals, for the most part, right? People are still shopping for their everyday stuff. People are still business owners. I own Airbnb rentals, and I'm constantly, every single week, I'm purchasing something for the businesses, as well as my own, personal consumption, right? So it's not just deal days, right? But if I can save a few bucks, I certainly will, because ultimately that means I pocket more later on. But I want to be able to, if I'm a shopper, if I'm on my mobile phone, which is typically where I shop on Amazon, where more than 50% of shoppers on Amazon start is through the Amazon mobile app, there's a very limited attention span, very limited opportunity that you have in order to grab their attention. Let's say, for instance, your target audience jumps onto the Amazon app. They use a popular search term that you're targeting. that your listing should come back in the first, 2-3 pages. And what they see, if you haven't looked at your mobile app, then please do so for your niche, because you definitely should. You're going to see that there is you're going to have images, you're going to have shortened titles, typically 75 to 80 characters when they're going to cut off. And they're going to be scanning through a whole bunch of your competitors, and maybe your product is buried deep within there, but ads are going to be running on top, on bottom, on side, all over the place, that are going to give you additional opportunities to be seen. So what I was talking about before, and I'll talk about again later on as far as how to do that, is you've got to make it sure that your main image, because a lot of people are visual, your main image pops, it stands out, it is different from what your competitors are doing. That's how you get a shopper who's scrolling through a whole bunch of listings quickly to pause for a split second in order to look at your title. That obviously begs the next question is, what did you do in the first 75 characters of that title before it gets cut off, right? Did you compel the shopper to come through to your listing, or did you bore them with search terms and package details and dimensions that they could care less about, that ultimately will make or break their decision to buy the product, but didn't pull them into your product listing? Okay. So your image is the showstopper. Your image is the scroll stopper, I should say, to get them to stop to pause for a split second. Your title is then, of course, going to be what compels them or pulls them in, engages them to pull them into your product listing. In the meantime, though, in order to increase your traffic and visibility by the shopper of the product, you got to start with those prerequisites, the main image standing out and the title, but you got to do some other things. In other words, shoppers won't know your product exists if they don't see it at least once, ideally more than once. So how do we do that? First tactic is going to be focus your ad spend. Assuming you're doing some advertising, native Amazon PPC advertising, first and foremost, narrow where your ad budget is being spent for Prime Day. The week leading up to Prime Days, July 12th and 13th, the conversion rate is going to suck because people are out there shopping, they're clicking through, but they are not converting because they know that it's likely going to go on sale. The conversion rate drops by half in the week leading up to any main event like Prime Day, like Black Friday, not Black Friday, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Cyber Monday typically is the better one. So you want to make sure that you're narrowing your ad budgets. You're not simply just splattered out here on a wide range. You're narrowing it into the specific products that convert well, the specific that have the highest, or above average within your product portfolio, have an above average conversion rate. If that means that you stop advertising on 10 products and narrow it down to 2 products, do so. It's only temporary. It's for Prime Day, but you're really pushing hard on those products that you're truly committing to promoting, potentially discounting, or setting up some kind of a promotion, whether if you've already set this up for a Lightning Day deal or a 7-day deal or some kind of a coupon. I'll talk about that too. But you're going to need to focus your ad spend to the products, ad types, and ad targets being keywords, automatic campaigns, keyword targets, product targets, even category targets that have above average conversion rate. Okay, so that's tactic number 1. You've heard me bark this for years, right? Focus, focus, focus. Okay. This is exactly what we're doing over at Canopy. Second one, and for those of you who have been with me for the last 7 years or so, you've heard me teach this for a long time because it works. When you have a high traffic day like Prime Day, Cyber Monday, set up your gold panning campaigns. If you haven't seen my gold panning videos out on my YouTube channel, you can check those out. You can ping me later on. I'll point you to those. Here's the basics of this. You set up automatic campaigns, keyword targeting campaigns, and product targeting campaigns with a low default bid. Sounds counterintuitive? It's because it is. These are designed to last a long time because you can see that I'm recommending that you put in a high budget, probably higher than you normally do, because I usually recommend you start out with a $20 budget. Don't go low, don't go $5, $10. do something at least $20. But this one, you're going to go high because you're going to set up a low default bid. Now, if you've ever watched my gold panning training videos, I actually stack them together. So there's essentially almost like a waterfall tier of different gold panning campaigns, but they're simply low bid campaigns that are designed to continue to run after your normal campaigns run. Amazon likes to split up. Okay, obviously they're going to throw more visibility right up front to those advertisers who are aggressive, who are bidding high, who are spending a lot of money, probably throwing a whole lot of money away because they're going head to head against all your other competitors who are trying to do the exact same thing. Everybody burns through their budget, and a lot of sales occur in the first 4 or 5 hours. And then everybody starts running out of budget. Their campaigns stop running. And then Amazon starts looking for the next tier of campaigns that are running. But what most people don't realize is that Amazon will still take a look at those advertisers who bid low, and they will actually place them on secondary or tertiary pages of the search results. So just because, in other words, you could have both aggressive ads that run until you run out of budget, as long as you think they're running profitably. And then you can also have the secondary set of low bid, high budget campaigns, gold panning campaigns that you can have running in the background. And Amazon will actually show those in deeper search pages when your more aggressive ads will only be showing in the first page or two of the search results. So it seems kind of counterintuitive again, but it actually does work quite well. Here's an example on this, just so you can kind of understand this. We set up some automatic campaigns, and obviously there's a lot of specifics that I can go into as far as like, tweaks and tunes and everything, right? But this works every single year. We set up some automatic campaigns, and we set up a high budget, a low default bid. Like for instance, if you've already figured out, if you've already done the calculation, which hopefully you have, what your break-even bid is for each of your products based off your conversion rate and your net margin for your product, then I would set your default bid, in other words, your starting bid for that campaign, for that ad group, for that, the target, at or even below whatever your break even is for your product. What we've seen again and again and again is competitors blow through their ad budget. They panic, they stop their ads, they run out of stock in some cases, right? Ultimately, what happens is that your low bid campaigns start bubbling up to the surface during these high traffic days on, like say, Prime Day. And we've seen many times where late in the afternoon, maybe it's 6 p.m. at night, maybe it's 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, our ads that weren't getting any visibility earlier on in the day and would normally only get maybe 1,000 searches in a day, right, because they're low bid, we would get, in some cases, we've seen hundreds of thousands, even over 1 million searches in just a few hours at the end of Prime Day. And we would make just a huge killing on sales. And what was the best part of this is because you bid low, your ACoS is extremely low, meaning your profit is extremely high. We've seen single digit ACoS in some cases. Usually it's like maybe the low teens, maybe the high single digit ACoS on some of those Prime Day evenings. Now, some of you are pretty smart out there. You're like going, well, why don't I just turn on my aggressive campaigns late in the evening? Cool, that works also if you're paying attention and if you're managing it as aggressively as somebody like our team does. So that is going to be tactic number 2. Okay. And I do see some of your questions. I will try to address those at the end. I want to make sure I get through the content so that everybody, especially some of you who are staying up late, are not kept here until 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So second priority, okay, I mentioned the first priority, get eyes on your product by the shoppers, okay? Second priority is to hook the shoppers in order to visit your product. In other words, you want them to have already seen your image, read the first part of your title, what was ever visible, and then saw something in there that stood out from your competition, that differentiated your product from your competition, and compelled them to say, you know what, I want to know more. I'm curious. There's something in here I want. Let me go ahead and click through on their product listing. That happens in your title. You've got to be able to increase the click-through, increase the engagement of that shopper in order to pull them into your product listing. What's the best thing about pulling a shopper into your product listing? Who can answer that in the chat for me? What's the best benefit to you of somebody clicking through to your product listing, other than obviously potentially having the sale? Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good too. Close. Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, the best one though is you're pulling away from your competition. Think about it. Search results, your product is surrounded by your competition. You get that click through, somebody comes to your product listing. Who's the feature product? Yours is, okay? You've got them away. You said, hey, come over here off of the busy street where all these vendors are trying to sell you things. Come over here to my private studio where you can see my products in private. And yes, there are competition down below trying to come in and knock on the door and everything. But now your job in your product listing, of course, is to make sure that they don't get distracted by those competitors. So let's get into it. Shoppers will browse competitor products first if you don't get the click-through. In other words, they're still browsing through what all their alternatives are. They haven't really considered yours yet. So you've got to get that engagement. You've got to get the click-through. Now, here's the third tactic. The third tactic to solve the engagement piece. This is what I was talking about before. And yes, there's a reason why I keep on repeating myself on this. You have got to optimize your main image to stand out, compelling the shopper to stop and read your title of your product, even if it's the first 75 characters that are showing, right? Even among that list of competitors. Now, this also means, I was going to jump into number 4 here, which is kind of like stepping forward a little bit here. Let me go back just a second here. This also applies to your title. In other words, your main image may have stood out and drew their attention to your product listing and ultimately started to read your title. The next thing they're going to do when they're looking at their title is they're going to look to see, okay, is it relevant? You know, it's that you've heard this before. It's like, is this product for me? That's the first question. Not really. It's more of a case of like, okay, is there a hint of relevance? Is this in the ballpark of what I'm looking for? Yes. But you figure is that your product is sitting among a bunch of competitors who are probably very similar to yours, right? And so you want to make sure that you've got something in the language of your title in that first 75 to 80 characters. I'm not saying only have a title of 75 to 80 characters. You can use a full title, but make sure that whatever's in that first 75 characters shows relevance, number one, right? That may be your number one target search term that you think that you can rank for and is directly relevant to your audience, perfectly relevant to your product. Second is that it shows some kind of benefit in like 2 or 3 words that hooks their attention. You've got to be able to answer briefly, what's in it for me? Or if you don't have a short benefit of the product, what is a unique feature that stands out from your competition? Using words that are dissimilar, in other words, that are different from your competition, because you want your product and the words that you're using and the image that you're using to stand away from your competition so that it stands out like a a sore thumb. All right, you're all here to witness that gaffe there. A sore thumb, so that people can't help but their eyes just track back to it. They're compelled to read. Now, I do, like I said, I've got a whole a training video that I do that goes into detail about this. called the Product Search and Rescue. Again, on my YouTube channel, you're welcome to go out there and take a look at it afterwards. I definitely highly recommend it because it actually will give you some insights as far as like how you can optimize your own product listings, right? If you don't have our team, which obviously has a phenomenal record doing the product listing optimization and the differentiation, then definitely do it yourself, get it done either way. But that is going to your main image and your title is going to help stand out. And so we'll actually do, even through Prime Day, we will actually do for our clients, we'll continue to do the A/B split testing through Amazon Experiments on the title in order to test what we think is going to be create higher engagement for shoppers. Now, we're not using words like premium or best or on sale or anything gimmicky like this that you're not going to index for, that people have seen way too much. Actually have some kind of benefit or feature in 2 or 3 words using some unique language in your title that is actually going to compel a shopper to say like, okay, I want to know more. I'm curious about this. Like, this is something that seems different than what everybody else is offering. I was talking to a gentleman earlier today, he spent a lot more money on his product because he actually used natural wood in the product instead of the laminate wood that all his competitors. And yet in his title, he doesn't even mention the fact that he's using natural solid wood. And so that was the very first thing. Like, you've got to change that because people want to know that they're going to pay extra for something that actually is worth it. Give them that reason. And a lot of times as manufacturers, when we're sourcing our own products, we as the brand owners fail to do that, to recognize what the shoppers see, which is why I recommend that you go out and you actually have people who are not directly involved in the sourcing of your product look at your listings and give you opinion about what they think is your most compelling benefit, your most compelling feature, where your product is different. Because you'll see real quick is that you came in and used industry terminology. You emulated the success by copying your competitors' images and titles. And what that did was it buried you in the search results so that you disappeared like everybody else. Stop doing that. Your listings are going to be the same way. I'm going to get into more detail. I'm going to give you a chance to do a screenshot of a specific list of tactics that I want you to employ on your product listing here coming up. So stick with me here. But that has to do with optimizing the listings so that the shopper chooses your product over. In other words, give them enough what's in it for me. You should be answering right up front, very succinctly, very quickly in your secondary images, in your bullet points, in your content, in your A+ content. What's in it for me if I buy this product? Don't bore me with some of the metrics that I can search for and I can read down below. Lead with the things that are compelling, that are differentiating about your product. If you don't know what those are, figure those out, okay? All right. First of all, in the chat, open up your chat box. I want to find out, how many people have I lost? Give me a 1 if you're sticking with me and you're understanding what I'm teaching here, or give me a 0 if I've lost you. And that's okay, because you can watch the replay and go over it a couple of times. Good. I love being in a room of smart people. Nice. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So what I was just talking about, making your listing stand out. Okay. Give you another layer of detail. This is a good one to take a picture of. Okay. This one, I think the next one probably. First and foremost, you're going to identify the common pattern of the search results of what your competitors are using for their main image and their title, and look for what is common within your product niche. What is common among your product and your competitors' products? In other words, what is blandly the same that is going to make shoppers skip over it? They're going to ignore it. It's called banner blindness, right? It's the ability for the subconscious to block out, or the conscious, I don't know, to block out redundant information that they feel like they already know. It's one of the reasons why they just glaze over and the shopper just scrolls right past, thumb scrolls past your listing in search results, because you did not catch their attention by standing out from the crowd, by being that red object in a black sea of objects, right? Identify that pattern. Now, that pattern can be a number of things, right? You're going to want to try to emphasize your product image and your title so that it is different, right? I keep on saying this. There's a reason I keep on repeating it, because I want to make sure it sinks in, okay? Because if your if your skull is as thick as mine, I need to hear things a bunch of times before it finally sinks in. I go, oh, okay, duh, I hear you. You want to stand out from the crowd. I'll give you some examples here. I'll give you a little bit more detail on the next one here, okay? Your main image, of course, has to stand out. Higher color contrast, unusual shapes. In other words, if everybody has kind of a square shape to the product they're showing, can you make yours so it's more three-dimensionally turned at an angle so that it looks like it has more depth? So that you've got maybe your main product in the front and then a foot behind it, like a little bit of depth, not right behind touching it, but like a foot behind it is maybe the packaging or some other accessory or something like that that goes along with that product, so that it gives it some depth. So take away the two-dimensional or even one-dimensional shape or pattern or direction of your product, and look to use Amazon Experiments A/B split testing on your main image to split test natively within Amazon, not through some third-party site that has got some subjective results on it, or arguably misleading results, I'll say. I have opinions on that, but use Amazon Experiments A/B split testing inside of Seller Central in order to test additional images, to test alternate images to see where you're getting more engagement. You increase in sessions, increase in conversion rate, all these kind of things, right? And then third, hooking their interest in the title, making sure that you're using uncommon words, right? If everybody's using the same kind of single words to describe something, is there another word that you could look, grab, do a search on Google for a synonym of whatever the common words are that you are using, okay? You don't need to keyword stuff your title. You need to make it compelling for the shopper to really understand what's in it for them quickly, and what, relevance and what's in it for them in your title in that first 75 characters. So make sure you're leading your title with words that stand out, that are different, and maybe even include, one or two words of a unique feature or a unique benefit. I always lean toward having a benefit first, but I also understand sometimes the feature is more compelling than the benefit. Okay. All right. Oops. Okay, it's later on. All right. Priority number 3. There's actually another one I'll have you do a screenshot on in this section here, so stick with me on this. Priority number 3 is to increase the add to carts. Sorry, I was distracted by that question here. Yeah, yes. So here, let me put it in the text here. Sorry, I had somebody who was asking you specifically, say, well, wait a minute, how do we actually get a hold of Canopy if we just want to hand it off to somebody else? Actually, I'm going to put it into the chat there. If you open up your chat, you can see the link on how to set up a conversation to see whether or not it's a good fit, even, working with our agency. So thanks for that question. Use that opportunity to plug Canopy here. Priority number 3, increase add to carts, also known as increased conversions, right? Because if they add to the cart, then they're much more likely to actually purchase the product. So it should increase their decision in order to buy the product, okay? So if you don't increase, if you don't get them to add to cart, on your product listing, there are plenty of other competitors that are running ads that are showing up on your product listing that are going to become a distraction and maybe compel them to consider, hey, look at me, I'm over here, check me out. Now, ideally, once you got your whole listing optimized and you're running ads, you can run additional ads on your competitors once you got your conversion rate increased from proper listing optimization, is to, and standing out, differentiating with your main image and your title, you can increase your conversion rate of your product. And then when you increase the conversion rate of your product, you can then, of course, run ads on your competitors through product targeting ads and then steal shoppers away. But in the meantime, if you haven't done this, it's likely that your shoppers are going to get distracted by your competitors who have a more compelling offer in their main image and their title and their pricing potentially. And you want to try to block them or try to make sure they don't get distracted by the shoppers. You want to make sure your product listing is compelling them to not consider other alternatives, but to be convinced that the what's in it for me is clearly defined in your product detail page. I'll show you, I'll give you a screenshot here, moment in just a minute here. Tactic number 5 that our team is using for our clients is in the bullet points. So when we do a listing optimization, we want to make sure that now that we have the shopper into the product detail page in the product listing, our secondary images and our bullet points are just shouting to them briefly, 5-second rule of what's in it for me if I buy this product. And then we do like a hyphen, and we literally try to do this in 3 to 5 words if we can do it. In other words, I want it so succinct so that it just goes pop. Yes, I want this. I want that benefit. Pop. Yes, I want that benefit. Pop. Yes, I want that benefit. Instantly understanding in the first few words of each bullet point and in the first 5 seconds of each image. Try to avoid using text in your secondary images, that is. So in the first 5 seconds of each image and the first few words, first 3 to 5 words of each bullet point, what's the benefit to me? What's the unique benefit to me ideally? Hyphen followed by whatever feature is going to a single feature that supports that benefit. Ideally, it's a unique feature. Okay. So we come in and we say, we try to have some kind of compelling benefit of what's in it for me. Now that could mean that it is, wow, that changed on its own. That was cool. A hand gesture change. With that first, with each of the bullet points. Now keep in mind on mobile, the first 3 bullet points are typically the ones that show up. Okay. The 4th and the 5th one, maybe even additional ones, tend to get buried until you go in unless you try to click and ask for more to show more. So make sure that your first 3 images and your first 3 bullet points have your most compelling, your best foot forward. Don't create big, long stories, right? You create big, long stories on a mobile, the 3 bullet points becomes 2 bullet points. So if it gets too long, right? So try to keep it so they can consume the idea. They understand what the benefit is to me of this product and maybe what a feature is that supports that benefit in the first 5 seconds that they glance at that bullet or they glance at the image. Again, I go into a lot more depth, but that is one of the in my product search and rescue training that is free. It's up on YouTube on my channel. But this is something we make sure that we're coming in with our product listings that met that earlier qualification. Is they are the ones that that we're actually just forcing the benefit of what's in it for me to that shopper. The second image, the secondary images, not just the second image, but is the most compelling, but the secondary images in general. Lifestyle, cool, all that kind of stuff, right? But do not try to avoid, in other words, keep it to a 5-second rule. In other words, if I look at a second image, a third image, a fourth image, I need to be able to understand what I was just saying is I need to be able to understand visually, not by reading text, but visually, what's in it for me? What's the benefit to me? And maybe if there's a feature that supports that benefit, cool. Because you want for each bullet point read, for each image viewed, they're like, I want that. I want that. I want that. That is how you keep the shopper engrossed, involved with your product so much that they say, you know what, I'm just saying yes, yes, nodding my head. I'm just going to get this product because it just makes sense to me. It clicks with what I'm looking for. Okay. So make sure that like your bullet points and your secondary images shout the benefits. Okay. I think I've hit that one hard enough, right? This is a good screenshot moment for you here. Here is how an agency does it. Here's how Canopy does it, I should say. And given our track record, our performance track record of the metrics that I was showing before, 105% year-over-year growth, 84% increase in profitability, 38% increase in listing conversion rate, I would say that we have a pretty good setup. That's the average across all of our clients. So you know that we've got ones, sure, that are lower, but obviously we've got ones that are much higher as well. And we have a couple of top 10 brands that sell on Amazon. So that can compound real fast with the sales, especially when it comes to Prime Day. Now, I haven't talked about much as far as like promotion and pricing and that kind of stuff. And I'm going to as kind of an add-on here, right? Not as a separate slide. I just want to talk to you kind of personally on this. But what I talked about here is the same thing that I was going to. I'm not going to read through this here. Okay. Respect your time. Take a screenshot of it and then I'll move on. Okay. I'll get a sip of water while you do that. Okay. Let me go through this part here, okay? Because obviously I need to give a nod over to my agency and make sure that we have some conversations with those of you who it makes sense to consider outsourcing and see whether or not our proprietary systems and our processes is more compelling than what you're currently doing. Okay, so I want to make sure that people give a chance to do that. I'll put the link back into here again as far as the how to set up that conversation. We're not hard sell or anything like that. It's simply just a conversation. So, but let me get through this. And then what I want you to stay here with me is having a conversation, not only answer your questions, but I want to talk specifically about some of the promotional pricing that we specifically do for our clients to excel on Prime Day. Okay, so let me get through this really quick. This is only a few slides here. So you've got two options. You can struggle with the guesswork of staying in the do-it-yourself mode, or you can spend less time, less effort, get better results with Canopy. Every one of our client success stories started with a custom-built business growth roadmap. For those of you who qualify to work with our agency, we will build a custom business growth roadmap to say, here's what you're doing right, here's what you're doing wrong, here's where you could potentially grow in the next year, working within the confines of our system and our methodologies. And does it make sense? And we'll even throw in, when we're actually done, if it all makes sense, we'll even throw in a price tag. And if you want to move forward from there, cool, that's a business decision for you. Okay. I will tell you is that one of the things that you get, or some of the things that you get out of this kind of analysis, kind of audit from a third party, from an agency that gets a very wide view because of the number of product niches they work with, number of clients, large and small. We get to see essentially where you are in relationship to the rest of your product niche, the relationship to Amazon, and we can tell you, here's how you move forward. Here's how you double in the next year through these kinds of detailed analysis and reporting back to you. Now, we do have things as far as we'll talk about as far as like our growth plan with control stage, expansion, domination. These are all part of our proprietary systems that we'll talk to you about in order to get you there. And we'll talk to you as far as like what the strategy is. You can identify what the opportunities are with us. And then of course, how to get it all back into shape. And these reports are custom. That's where it all starts. That's how the success story of all of our best clients have always started, is getting this audit done. There is a cost. And so there is certain qualifications that need to be met up front. But in order for us to do this kind of in-depth report, we do need access to your to some of your reporting data. If you're all cool with that, we can deliver that to you, and you can get this whole list of things that and more that go along with that conversation. Now, this is actually to that in the chat, that chat link. You can also do a QR code. I'll leave that up here for a second. And then now's the time that we switch over to Q&A if you want to throw those into chat. And also, I will talk about some of the pricing and promotional strategies that I personally do, as well as my team at Canopy does, in order to make sure that we have. Does anybody need me to leave this slide up, or can we move on from that? Give me a hold in the chat if you need more time to take a picture of that QR code. Okay, cool. Oh, I guess there is a couple more slides on there. Okay, you've already seen that. Already discussed that at least. So when it comes to pricing, when it comes to promotion, so some of the things that I do on this. So when it comes to pricing, if you're trying to do like say lightning deals and that kind of stuff, you would have had to have already set your price tag at least 30 days prior to running, say a lightning deal. Lightning deals, or I should say lightning deals are good. 7-day deals are good. The Prime exclusive deals sound better than they actually are. Amazon promotes most heavily, probably from my observation, from my own products, lightning deal. I like the 7-day deals. Daily deals, of course, do come up, but I would say probably lightning deal gets shown the most for my products, at least. And so that's likely to get the highest amount of traffic. You also want to look at, here's kind of a hidden tactic for those of you. I know that it looks like 5 of you dropped off, and so those 5 of you just missed out on this little tactic here. So one of the things that we'll actually do is we will pay attention to our competitors who are running scheduled lightning deals, because you can go out and you can see which ones are scheduled in advance, and we'll actually run product targeting ads and brand keyword ads on those competitors in order to get their traffic that they get from lightning deals or 7-day deals or limited time deals, because they're getting a lot more traffic. And so we want to get in front of that. And that works out really well. In addition to things as far as like the gold panning campaigns I was talking about to drive additional visibility to focus the ads. But I highly recommend that you're running some kind of a combination of at least 2 things of lightning deal, 7-day deal, Prime exclusive deal. They extended the Prime exclusive deal, I think was through, I want to say July 6th or July 5th or 8th. And I need to get clarification on that one. Let's just assume it's the 5th. They extended it to, but you would have had to have already had your price static 30 days prior to that. And so that's kind of the challenge of, you would have had to have your price set earlier. Now, if you didn't set up things like Prime Day, 7-day, Prime exclusive deal, 7-day lightning, anything like that, which gets a high amount of traffic, then you could also do a price drop of 5-6%. Some of the ones that are, depending on which marketplace that you're selling in, if you do like a 15%, then you'll actually get like a bold highlight minus 15% kind of highlight next to your product listing on search results. I also like to have aggressive coupons. So that's usually what I always combining with. I will run an aggressive coupon, a dollar amount, not a percentage, but a dollar amount. And it is going to be so that I can stand out from my competition. So if I look at search results and I'm looking at my competitive niche, then I'm going to look at if everybody's using a coupon code, then you've got to make a coupon code that stands out from other coupon codes. In other words, you get that green bar, it pops, it stands out. You run it for a short time, just like during Prime Week, for instance, and make it aggressive. If you really want to move some product, if you want to get a sales velocity pop, you combine multiple things like this together so that you can move a lot more product. Does that mean you break even or even potentially lose money? Yes. Yes, that is true. But it is also a great way in order to clear out inventory from FBA, so you don't get those fees. It's also a great way to rank on keywords, especially if you combine it with keyword targeting ads for the keywords that you're specifically targeting. that you go really aggressive on and a higher percentage top of search. When I talk about a higher percentage top of search, I'm talking like 50% plus 50% plus 100% maybe. I don't do 500, 900%. That's a waste of time. But I will go more aggressive on my top of search ad placement on the specific keywords that I'm intentionally trying to increase sales velocity on, so that I can increase my organic rank on. And those are the keywords that I know are not my 800-pound gorilla, impossible for my product to ever achieve. These are the keywords that I know, you know what, I've got a good chance of actually ranking higher for this keyword. Therefore, I'm going to double down. I'm going to go very aggressive, and I'm going to combine that with coupon or some kind of a deal during Prime Days in order to drive the discount, drive the accelerated unit velocity for Prime Days, so that I can get that spike almost as if I was doing a rebate giveaway off of Amazon, which I don't do anymore for obvious reasons. Well, I shouldn't say obvious, because not everybody is surrounds themselves with in masterminds and in groups where people talk about getting suspended. Now, our clients don't get suspended because we take better care of them that way. But it is a great way if you combine things as far as like aggressive advertising with aggressive on the keywords with 50, 100% top of search placement, exact match, phrase match, broad match, in combination with some kind of an aggressive dollar amount or currency amount. If you're, maybe if you're in the UK, it's a pound, for instance. Dollar amount coupon. Now, aggressive, that means that if everybody in your search results in your product niche has a 10% off and $1 off kind of coupon, then go $5, go 30%, right? Obviously, I prefer the dollar amounts because the dollar amounts are easier to calculate for shoppers. If you use things like, oh, it's a 22% discount, then you're making people do math, you're going to lose them. So stick with the dollar amounts, the fixed dollar amounts, and be aggressive on it. Yes, break even. Yes, you might lose some profitability from Prime Day, but if you are going after, depends. Yeah, this is where you make a decision. Are you going after total move product? Are you going for profitability, or are you going for sales velocity so you can spike your rankings so that you can carry through the rest of the summer at a higher sales throughout the summer? So there's different strategies there. So combine coupons with deals, making sure that your listing, of course, is optimized, making sure that, pass this here. In fact, let me just stop the sharing here. Getting past the, making sure that you're getting, you're doing the split testing, that you are making sure that your main image is stands out from your competition in the search results, making sure that your title has some kind of compelling words in the first 75 characters that hooks their interest into what kind of benefit or key feature that they're going to get that is different from your competitors. And yes, there's always something. Even if you sell the exact same vanilla product as somebody else who's done a poor job of explaining what a benefit or a feature is, that's your opportunity to step in. Making sure that you're running focused ads, not just running ads all over the place, focused ads that have a combination of things like your low bid set of automatic keyword targeting, product targeting campaigns that are low bid. Those are your gold panning campaigns that sustain throughout the day after your competition has run out of budget or product on Prime Days. And then if you're going really aggressive and you want to use a discounted or pricing strategy that compels higher number of units being sold daily, in combination with very specific, aggressive, top of search keyword targeting ads on the keywords that you think that you can improve your keyword ranking on, these combinations are some of the best tactics that Canopy uses for our clients in order to win Prime Day for one of those three target strategies, whether we're trying to increase sales volume and profitability, whether we're trying to move products so that we don't get penalized by FBA for having stock, sitting there too long. And I know a lot of you are experiencing that because you've had lower traffic and sales since the change in pandemic restrictions have occurred this year in 2022, and the increasing inflation and cost of living. And then, of course, the third one, which of course is just to get the keyword ranking, where you can go really aggressive with the discount that you're providing and the keyword targeting for the ranking. So all right, let me catch up here with questions. Where do you find info on the scheduled deals of competitors? If you just go out to Amazon and look, they'll have like the say Amazon Prime Day, July 12th and 13th. You just click on that. It'll tell you where all the deals are. What's your thoughts on running cost per 1,000 impression ads during Prime Day? You can do it. I mean, because I didn't go into detail as far as the remarketing. There's a lot of retargeting ads you can do with sponsored display ads or demand side or DSP ads. Certainly, Canopy runs DSP ads for our clients. Generally, what I'm looking for is the products that work best for any kind of retargeting or impression based are typically more of the consumable, subscribe and save kind of products. It's not to say that other products don't work. I'm just saying that if you've got a subscribe and save kind of product or a replenish kind of product, then I would definitely be using some kind of impression based or the CPM model of running ads through sponsored display ads or demand side ads if you are at that level in your business, for sure. Other questions? I'd like to wrap it up because we're past the hour now. So I'd like to wrap it up here in just a couple of minutes if we could. Let me put that link back into ours. I really strongly recommend that if you are doing at least, say, 30,000 a month on or off of Amazon in sales per month, definitely have a conversation with our team, because most likely we're going to be able to point out something that maybe your own team or your agency team is missing currently that you can jump on. And if for some reason it makes sense that you want to take a closer look at what our capabilities are, we're well known for our track record. So it's definitely worth that conversation, right? Let's see here. How to manage profitability of product as we're going aggressive PPC, at the same time we're offering coupons. That's kind of where I was saying, Eamon, as far as it depends on what kind of strategy you're going for. Are you going for unit sales velocity for keyword ranking? Are you looking to liquidate products so that you don't have storage, long-term storage fees? Are you looking to maximize sales? Prime days are not really the profit centers of the year. I'll just be straight up upfront on that. It's usually for moving product, moving volume, right? Or achieving some kind of a keyword ranking. Now, if you come in, hence that earlier slide that I said, like if you choose your products well that you're promoting heavily, ideally those that come in, they already have a high net margin or above average net margin compared to the rest of your portfolio, then it's much more likely that you're going to be able to come out of it profitably. Not massive amounts, but it kind of depends on your product and your product niche as far as how popular it runs. But focusing your ads, which was one of the first things that I said, focusing your ads on where you've got the highest converting products, highest converting ad types, highest converting ad targets is the most sure way to guarantee some kind of break even, if not profitability. So focus, 80-20 Pareto, right? Scale down your ads to focus in on the 20% that's most likely going to provide 80% of your profitability at the end of the day. So hopefully that answered. Give me some feedback in the chat. I want to say goodbye to everybody and thank you for being here. Give me a chat if 1 through 5, 1, it sucked and you'll never be back again. Sorry for that. Give me a 5 if you think it's like, cool, I got something out of this I can actually put in place. And Stacy, I can't talk about as far as like agency pricing. I can definitely tell you we're not. This is we're pretty open book in those one-on-one conversations. If you don't like our pricing, then we understand. But yeah, we will definitely tell you that if we choose to work together for sure. Awesome. Thank you so much. All once. No, I'm kidding. Here's something I will mention, Stacy. So here's kind of why I mentioned it's like Canopy at our level, we really are our sweet spot for working with clients with brands on Amazon is typically those who are doing at least 30,000 a month. If you're not at that level, cool, everybody's been there, right? And there's a lot of people who love just staying there, and that's fine. I'm just saying, like, our systems are set up more for like probably the 30,000 a month north of that, right? But here's what I'll tell you is that most likely, if you're struggling as a new seller or a new product in your first month or first year, most likely it is because of the listing itself, not because of the advertising. If your conversion rate is single digit, if it's down, especially if it's down below 5%, you absolutely need to rebuild your product listing because you're clearly not getting across to the shopper. If you have a low conversion rate, if you're talking about less than 10%, even worse, less than 5%, you've completely missed your target audience in your product listing. You're not compelling. You're not bringing to market something. If you want to have that discussion outside, go ahead and reach out to me. I'll see if I can try to help. If you want to just message me across social media, or heck, send me an email, brian@canopymanagement.com, BRIAN @canopymanagement.com. Put in your marketplace and your ASIN. I can tell you, you may not like the feedback I give you, but I can tell you probably within 5 minutes where you need to make a different direction, where you need to steer differently. So hopefully many of you got a lot out of this, and hopefully I can be a resource for you in the future. And yeah, awesome. Thanks for being here, everybody. This is Brian Johnson from Canopy Management, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.